The only asset that has told a consistent story for the last 6 months is gold. Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP holders. I appreciate you guys as always, for showing tremendous amount of love. Continue supporting and you will see a continuation of these daily XRP updates for you guys, the viewers. Looking across the market as we are going into Friday morning, you're starting to see, a little bit of 50-50, some coins up quite a bit, but at the same time, some coins seeing a little bit of a minor retracement. Over the last 1 hour, you are starting to see, the overall market turning into green, which I'm sure no one's really complaining about. But as far as XRP is concerned, it is down 0.2% in USD comparative, but we're up 1.5% in BTC comparative. The price is currently sitting at $2, right exactly at that level. Valuation at 116.4 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $3.5 billion. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in cryptocurrencies. So let's start off with this. New York introduces a new bill to allow the state government to accept cryptocurrencies as a form of payment. If this isn't bullish, guys, I don't know what is. You can see this for yourself. This allows the state government to accept crypto as a payment. How big is this? Not a lot of people are going to realize, the magnitude of this early on, but I think as we, go into the future and this really becomes a norm, then, people are going to be looking back at this and realizing how big of a deal this really was to begin with. But moving forward, XRP and Ripple, the parties have filed a joint motion to hold the appeal, based on the parties' agreement to settle. The settlement is awaiting Commission's approval. No brief will be filed on April 16th. And I know this has gotten a lot of people confused, within the XRP community and, crypto community to be specific. People are not understanding, I thought, this entire thing was over, but now why is this still going on? Remember, you need the commission approval for it to be officially over in terms of court. And I personally, believe that, this is done. I think this is over with. Of course, I think it's just a matter of time where we do see, the official announcement coming out where, it's just, done for good. I think there has been a settlement in terms of I think I don't remember exactly the dollar amount that Ripple is to pay the SEC, but it is done. It is done with Paul Atkins obviously taking over now. Major news that came out yesterday. I think it's such a big news. I think if this news was announced back at the beginning of this year or maybe late last year, I think the market would have really absorbed this in a really, really bullish perspective. But right now, of course, there's a lot of uncertainty within the markets. People are not realizing how big of a deal this really is. But I think under him, we're going to see so much happening, a lot of clarity coming towards the crypto industry and the ETF perspective as well. I think we're not only just going to see XRP ETF. I think we're going to see a wide range of different XRP and Solana, HBAR, maybe indexes launching, and of course that would be just a pivot moment for the crypto space. But this is of course that regarding the case itself. I think it's just a matter of time where we do hear the commission approval coming out regarding this. But moving forward, look at this. Liquidation data shows $2.1 million in long positions were wiped out, compared to just 705 in shorts, signaling aggressive bullish exposure. Okay, first and foremost, we are going to obviously need to into consideration that, the liquidation is obviously going to happen. That future market is a huge chunk of the crypto space. It's obviously where you can short and long. I'm totally against it. If you are following the channel and this is your first time maybe coming into the crypto space, is your first year, or you're very, very new to the crypto markets, I've always said this on my channel from the beginning: stay away from futures platforms. Of course, there's a lot of platforms, and I'm not going to name any specific one. There's a lot that get you on board, with massive incentives. You get this bonus or that bonus, blah 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 blah. 99.9% of the time, you're going to end up losing your money. So what I would suggest, the biggest tip that I give my viewers is that if you are in it for the crypto space and for the long haul, and you do want exposure, I would suggest you to obviously, number one, do your due diligence research, and then invest what you can afford to lose, and spot buy, because this market fluctuates so much that swings can wreck your positions, no matter if you're using low leverage or large leverage. The chances of you getting your positions wiped out are quite high. There was a point in time where I literally learned the futures market. And I'm not talking just like 1 or 2 days. I'm literally talking about, I was educating myself. I did it, and I did make money, but at the end of the day, guess what? I lost so much money doing this, and I would never ever recommend, if you're new to the market, to do this, or even if you're old, just spot buy and just hodl. That's literally it. That's the best strategy in my opinion, because it goes a long way. Because these fluctuations can wipe you out, and then you get wiped out, and just maybe 2-3 days later, you're seeing where the price was prior to the wipeout, reclaiming, and of course that is not a good feeling. So of course, a long rant, but very, very important to kind of stay away from leverage trading platforms. But moving forward, the SEC division of the corporate finance released new guidance on how federal securities laws could apply to crypto, and how industry players should make disclosure. So is this a hint to maybe the likes of financial institutions that are potentially going to start offering crypto services to their clientele, the kind of how they can come up with these disclosures? You're starting to see all these puzzle pieces aligning, and this is quite interesting. These are things people used to dream of under Gary Gensler's SEC, but things are happening, as what we thought they will under the Trump administration, and obviously as SEC restructures taking place, things are happening. Which of course is something that we shouldn't really be ignoring. And shout out to Smoke for saying this: XRP bounced back harder than Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana following the recent dip. And of course, he's kind of comparing some of these assets. That was he's talking initial, right? Like initial impact. The XRP indeed did perform really good. Right now, we're obviously, if you're looking at it right now, there are some other assets, the big ones that are holding better. But at the moment, when we did see that reversal coming in about that pause, XRP was the leader without a doubt. But with that said, let's really take a look at what's happening with the price, and of course what we could be expecting. So if you're looking at the dominance index here, guys, dominance index did go down over the last few hours. But over the last, I would say, an hour and a half, you did see the dominance pick up a little bit. But if you're looking at BTC right now, Bitcoin has reclaimed back above $81,000 going into Friday morning. Of course, China and US were going back and forth, regarding the tariffs. So no resolution in regards to that, and that actually had an impact in a negative way, to the cryptos markets. BTC went down to 78.5. The traditional market, S&P, Nasdaq fell down as well. But you're starting to see market picking up once again. Are we going to hear a resolution? I hope so, because I think that would be a massive advantage for the overall market, but we'll take it one step at a time. But now, with that being said, let's take a look at what's happening with XRP on the hourly time frame. So if you're looking at XRP right now, it's still within the 0.50 Fibonacci retracement level. Hasn't really retested the 38.2 once again. Obviously, we retested the 38.2 yesterday, but we're still ranging within this level at that $2 price point exact, and that should really tell you how important this $2 level really is. Of course, you could see this for yourself right in front of our eyes. Significant, I repeat, significant amount of resistance around this $2 price point. Again, it's a psychological price point. If this is able to break out, I do believe the 38.2 could be next in place. So keep an eye out on the dominance as well as BTC, and we'll take it from there. Let me know down below what you guys think. Thank you for all your support. You guys are absolutely amazing. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.